Hello, and welcome back to another episode on Light Reading. As always, I'm your host, Light. Our first manhwa to go over is Warlock Streamer, an ongoing game manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 96. Warlock Streamer's main character is Jung Hyun-woo, an individual who almost was killed by a truck, but instead was struck by lightning. In this world, the game God Wars has become a game in which people revolve their whole lives around, including Hyunwoo. However, due to his accident, his biosignal, a form of passcode to the game that's supposed to be unique to each person, seems to have been changed, resulting in him losing all of his previous progress. From here, he starts again, however with a very different starting point. Its story is an 8 out of 10. The story has satisfying power gains, escalation of conflicts, some positive misunderstandings that provide a good time. In addition, the fact that streaming is very much involved in the main character's motivations, it's an interesting focus. Its characters are 9 out of 10. The characters and companions surrounding the main character, both in God Wars and in the real world, are pleasant and attributed to my enjoyment of Warlock Streamer. Its art is an 8 out of 10. The environment and drawing provides a satisfying outlet to the game world and the action that it's shown. Also, the way that Hyunwoo's companions are shown is one of the highlights for me in terms of reading the manhwa. If you're a fan of the game or action genres and are looking for a manhwa that has satisfying power gains for the main character, companions that support the main character well, and has more of a focus on the streaming aspect of things, Warlock Streamer is one you won't regret to pick up. This next manhwa is one I've been enjoying going through its initial story, and that is The Curious Case of Chronicle, a manhwa which I've read up to chapter 51 on. The Curious Case of Chronicle's main character is Adrian Lawrence, a noble who is actually a reincarnated individual from Earth. As a child, due to his situation, he faked being useless so that he wouldn't come into any danger from his family. Because of this, Adrian enjoys playing a game called Chronicle Online, and it is here that his life changes forever. In it, he finds the legacy or inheritance of Manuel Lucas, the greatest magician who's ever lived. Turns out, Manuel was also a reincarnated individual from Earth and wanted to find a way back home. However, he didn't succeed, so he wanted to make sure that the next person to be reincarnated in this universe from Earth wouldn't suffer like he did. The story is a 10 out of 10. Both the initial hook and the resolution of the first arc really satisfied me in terms of its storytelling. The foundation that's been set has me excited for where the future for this manhwa will go. Personally, I enjoyed the growth in Adrian's powers and how things would manifest in his real life from the game. The characters are 8 out of 10. The majority of characters are either an ally or an enemy to Adrian. However, the future of the story leaves a lot of room for future characters to not be so clean-cut. The art is a 9 out of 10. There are elements of fantasy and sci-fi aspects to it, and the mix of action and the environments work very well together. If you're a fan of reincarnation stories with a fantasy sci-fi art style and a satisfying story, The Curious Case of Chronicle is a must for you. Our next manhwa is a regression reincarnation story by the name of the Baengri Clan's Unwanted Granddaughter, to which I've currently read up to chapter 25 on. Its main character is Yeon, an orphan who's picked up by Baengri Wigang, the third son of the Baengri martial arts family. While living through her first life, she remembers her original life where she read the novel that she reincarnated into. While trying to escape this reality once she remembers, she dies and regresses back to her childhood already picked up by Wigang. Given this new chance, she uses her original life's knowledge of the events as well as her first life to change things for the better. The potential is 6 out of 10. With the first 25 chapters, it isn't clear at this point where the story is going to lead us, with the main character having some health issues. There's a multitude of places they could go with it, honestly. With no clear direction though, I am curious to see where it might go. The art is a 6 out of 10. It's nothing fancy, but also doesn't detract from the experience. I'm so far just neutral on the art for now. I'll be keeping my eye on the Baengri Clan's Unwanted Granddaughter, so make sure to stay tuned for updates on how this story will go. But if you're a fan of the regression reincarnation stories with a more back setting, this one might be at least one to take note of. Our next manhwa to go over is I Became the Childhood Friend of the Mid-Level Boss, an ongoing reincarnation into a game story which I've currently read up to chapter 20 on. The main character of this story is Do Kyun-woo, a black sheep of a swordsmanship family. When Kyun-woo attended school, he was able to remember his past life and realized that the life he was living now was actually a part of a game he played in his previous life. With this new knowledge, he decides to try and befriend the mid-level boss to try and survive in this new life. The potential is an 8 out of 10. The concept is at least interesting considering it's a story where you try to influence the boss characters instead of the actual game characters themselves. Kyun-woo making this decision was a decent hook at least. The art is a 5 out of 10. So far, the art just does its job decently, but nothing exactly wows me in any way, but I'm curious to see where it might go. I Became the Childhood Friend of the Mid-Level Boss is a curious one to see. Just from the initial 20 chapters, my imagination was trying to think up of scenarios where the story may end up, which improved my opinion of it. I'll keep reading and keep everybody updated, but if you're a fan of reincarnation stories with a twist of the main character affecting game bosses instead of the main cast, keep an eye on I Became the Childhood Friend of the Mid-Level Boss. The last manhwa for today belongs to the sports genre, and that is Home Plate's Villain, an ongoing manhwa that I've read up to chapter 19 of. Home Plate's Villain focuses on Bin-hong, a veteran catcher of the Korean Baseball League who retires after getting 3,000 hits in his career. What's interesting is that he talks to a baseball fairy that trades this achievement of 3,000 hits to regressing back in time to which his parents were still alive. Bin-hong's parents actually died in an accident when they were driving to his debut game in the Korean Baseball League. However, there was one part that the fairy omitted, that with this second chance, he must now get 3,000 hits in the major leagues or go back to the original timeline that his parents originally died in. The potential is a 7 out of 10. The sports genre is something that I'm always interested in, and a perspective focused on a catcher for baseball is a unique take for a manhwa. I'll be interested to see what type of skills and other improvements Bin-hong will make in this new one. The art is a 7 out of 10. I enjoy the expressions and the atmosphere the art brings during the game so far, and I'm curious on how the art will develop in the future. For fans of sports genres who don't mind a story that's still developing its foundation, give Home Plate's Villain a try. But otherwise, stay tuned and I'll keep you updated. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Write in the comment section down below what manga and manhwa you've been reading and I might just take a look. Till next time though, have a good read.